Hey, it's Monday, April 13th, 2020, Easter Monday, in fact, and this is the 5-Minute Podcast Review. First up, thanks for all the feedback on the last episode where I blasted through 24 podcasts to help keep you occupied during the lockdown. If you missed it, you can go back and check it out. But today, I'm back to the regular format with 2 podcasts to talk about, and the first of those is Strong Songs, which I've been meaning to talk about for a while. It's definitely one of the best podcasts I've hit upon lately, though it's been going since around November 2018. So in each episode of Strong Songs, the host Kirk Hamilton takes a well-known song and does an amazing technical breakdown of the factors that actually made the song a classic, or, as per the title of the podcast, made the song a strong song. Kirk, the host, is a skilled musician, and I think very relevantly, he's a former music teacher. And he just brings this infectious enthusiasm to each episode. So let me play a clip from his breakdown of Toto's Africa. Now, I know some love this song. I know plenty of people hate this song, but we all know it, and it survived for nearly 40 years as a classic. And as Kirk Hamilton explains, the magic starts with the opening drum beat.
So for starters, I think something that makes this song stand out is the mix and the way that the song is mixed. So let's just listen a little bit to the groove that happens before the verse comes in. Okay, so even just there, let's talk about that for a second. So what happens there is it starts with just the drums and this sort of rhythm riff that everybody knows at this point doesn't actually come in at the very beginning of the song. So first you just kind of have this beat. I really like that just as an approach for a song. There's something about having just drums it's sort of like a tease. You can hear the drum beat and you probably kind of know what song it is just based on the mix and the groove and the tempo. And then the synths and the bass come in and you're like, yes, it is Toto. And there's a feeling of sort of validation to that people really like. Another really good example of that is another song that you probably know, and I'm going to play that example right now. Wait, do you know what song is going to play? I bet you know what song is going to play. I bet you're ready and you're just waiting to hear what song is going to play. Okay, Michael, you can take a back seat. We're not talking about you, at least not in this episode. But that's an example of like a thing that I really like when you start with a drum beat that is at least distinct enough to give people a sense of what's coming. And then when the actual tune comes in, they're kind of primed to be excited for it. If you've ever played, well, I've played in plenty of cover bands where we played Billie Jean, and we always start with that drum beat. And the minute the bass line comes in, everyone's kind of primed to lose their mind over it. So Toto's Africa kind of does the same thing because you hear this beat and then all at once, and then I think it lands really, really well, and it sounds very, very nice. It's very big, it's very reverby, but also very clear. I think you can hear each individual voice to an uncommon extent. You can really hear the harmonies that they're playing, which sounds really nice. And the arrangement is really, really cool on the groove too. And what makes an arrangement like this work, I think, is that you kind of have a call and a response going on. So the call sounds like this. And then the response, of course, is this little do-do-do-do-do business that sounds like this. The stereo pan is doing something you don't have to get too technical about it.
Okay, I let that clip play on longer than I meant to, but you can hear what I mean about how Kirk Hamilton breaks a song down, exposing what makes it work in a totally accessible way. You don't have to have a degree in music to follow along and get a lot out of these episodes. So apart from Africa, there's a lot of other great episodes. I love the one on Paul Simon's You Can Call Me Al. There's also episodes on Stairway to Heaven, Bohemian Rhapsody, Thriller, and quite a few on songs that were lesser known to me, like Cinnamon by Nina Simone or a breakdown of Satisfied from Hamilton, all of which turned out to be great ways of being introduced to new music. The bottom line is you will never listen to any song the same way again. You'll get so much more and you'll hear so much more in any song after a Strong Songs breakdown. Which reminds me, I just got to play you this super cool bit about the bass solo in You Can Call Me Al.
Sets up probably the most famous bass solo break in recorded history. So my favorite thing about that bass solo, in addition to it just being awesome, is that it's not actually really possible to play that on the bass. I mean, don't get me wrong, Biggie Kamalo is an amazing bass player, but the way they did it is he kind of was slapping in the studio, and then halfway through the line, they reverse the tape, and so it goes backwards. So the first part of it is him playing. And then the next part is also him playing, but the tape has been reversed. It's such a fun bass solo because it starts out really impressive. You know, you're like, oh, this guy is slapping the bass. This sounds really, really good. And then something impossible happens halfway through. And even if you're not totally sure what you're listening to, I think you're kind of aware that it just something is off, but you don't know what, but it's so in the pocket and grooving so hard, and then it lands so hard back when the band comes in that you don't even have time to really process what it was that sounded wrong. It just sounds like you kind of heard a magic trick, you know, an auditory magic trick. And I really love that about that solo. So once the solo happens, that kind of sets up the end of the song.
So, I don't know, I just thought that was pretty cool, and one of those things that I guarantee you will now never be able to unhear. And by the way, I am in awe of the production effort Kirk Hamilton must put into each episode. As well as his great commentary, he typically prepares and plays various short pieces on his own instruments to illustrate a point he's making about the clever use of a scale or chord or whatever. And then there's just clearly a whole lot of time spent analysing the songs for each episode. Okay, so that's Strong Songs. Definitely check it out, and I guarantee you'll find more than a bit of great listening there. Righto. The other podcast I wanted to mention today is The 11th, and The 11th refers to the 11th of November 1975, a very significant day in Australian political history when the democratically elected leader of Australia, the Prime Minister, was sacked by the Queen's representative in Australia, the Governor-General. Now, most Australians know something of the so-called dismissal, but like a lot of great long-form podcast series out there, The 11th delivers a slow burn, detailed weaving together of the story that brings to the surface many twists and turns that had been largely unknown. It reminds me of the Moonrise podcast series that are covered around the time of the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, where the story you thought you knew is far from the full story. And the story of the 11th has appeal beyond Australian borders. It actually pulls in a few other countries, the UK obviously, but also the US in terms of dealing with long-standing questions around CIA involvement in the overthrow of an Australian government they didn't feel was towing the line. So there you go, two more good podcasts to explore, Strong Songs and The 11th. Both are great binge listening options while locked down. Hope you're doing okay, stay safe, and I will see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening.